everybody. Do you hear me? Okay. We are going to start our discussion, first discussion on this conference. And we will use this wall later. So is the reason why we asked you to move to this side a little bit. But we will show at the beginning some few slides. So now you are looking to this side. I'm Ričardas from the Ministry of Education and Science, and we will moderate together with Eglė, Director of School Improvement Center. We will moderate these discussions. We will talk to you everything what you have to do to use those papers and so on. Our topic today will be, this session will be leadership for learning.
So we wanted to start with some, taking all of us to focus this theme, why leadership for learning? And I think what we were listening, what we were sharing during our plenary, it really opens this relation between leadership and learning, that it is the core of leadership. And if we would look at OECD project Improving School Leadership, so one of their findings is that policymakers and practitioners need to ensure that the roles and responsibilities associated with improved learning outcomes are the core of school leadership practice. That means that student learning outcomes are the center, the core of leadership. Leadership without learning in education it has no meaning. And when preparing for this conference, then there were three main topics to be discussed. Then they were decided. So one of them was leadership for learning, and it was here there are some ideas what was meant by that. That, for example, enhancing learning environments, how leaders create positive, encouraging learning environments at schools. The other point is external expectations for school leaders, that how learning is being organized, how learning is being led in the school. This leadership of learning at schools is the core of leaders' everyday work. The other aspect is new roles and responsibilities in school leadership. And during the plenary, we were discussing about these relations between management and leadership. And Professor Huber talked about administration, how leaders are involved in everyday administration, and all their energy and time is spent for that, and it doesn't lead to leadership for learning. Also, evidence of school leadership and learning. What is the evidence about these relations? So here are some kind of thinking. What are the areas of this leadership for learning? How it was thought preparing for this conference. But when we talk about learning, so we should always know what kind of learning do we want. So what kind of students we would like to develop. So here this is what we in Lithuania are thinking. This is what is being said in our curriculum. So what kind of students, how school should help students to become self-confident, responsible, creative, that they should be ready to cooperate, they should be ready for lifelong learning, they should be active citizens, not only in their community, but also of Lithuania, of Europe, of the world. So, and if we know what kind of learning do we want, what kind of learning outcomes do we want out of our schools, and also what kind of learning practices we would like to implement in our schools. So how is it related to leadership? What kind of leadership should help our schools to achieve these goals? And I think goals are very similar. Probably everywhere in Europe we have very similar goals, but probably we have very different strategies how to reach these goals. And Richard, as you wanted to continue about learning, about some kind of a history of learning.
Yeah. To be more focused, what we are going to do now, what is the content of our discussion, it's possible to say very easy. It's learning, it's teaching, it's about students. We are going today, not today, but this 1 hour and a half to think about students. What our roles as a teachers could be, how could we change to help students to be better prepared for emergency future. It's when education was begun, it's Socrates school, yes? We are doing some dialogues, teacher and student. And it was easy, in some sense, because Socrates or people like this, they had a monopoly of knowledge. If you want to learn something, you are going to people who knows more than you. And they have monopoly for this. But nowadays, situation is completely different. It's very easy to get information. School doesn't have monopoly no more. The situation is different. How we are going to work at school, how help to them to behave in such society. You don't have monopoly for knowledge. They can get knowledge everywhere, at every time, and it's even more easy to get to the computer and in few minutes to get knowledge than to go 1 hour or less to the school to get knowledge. Yes, it's completely different situation. So, how our behavior, our work is changing. One of my favorite authors, when he was in Lithuania many years ago, he has said this sentence: don't be afraid to learn yourself when your students are looking to you. In front of your students, you have to learn yourself too. Students need an example of learning. Our emerging future is future of changes. We have to learn. Every one of us has to learn a lot. And people need example of this. It's just one idea. How maybe our behavior, our work in the school could be changed. So we are going to discuss those ideas, what you have heard from Michael Schratz, from Stefan Huber, and to try to find some recommendations for member states, for Commission, what to do in this situation, how to change our school life.
And now, what shall we discuss? So, and this is the question for our discussion. What kind of new leadership approaches should be promoted to support innovative teaching and learning? So we are talking about new challenges for learning, so learning should change. So what are these innovative approaches of leadership to support this new approach to learning? So this is a question for discussion. Maybe it's a little bit complicated, but I think you as a group of very different people with different experiences and very experienced people, so we hope that you'll find a lot of ideas. So, and now how we'll be working. So first step, firstly we would like that you would introduce each other around your table. Secondly, we would like each of you to think individually for a few minutes and to generate some your ideas, your personal ideas. And afterwards, there will be a group discussion and the group should select 5 ideas, 5, maybe 6, but not more than 6. 6 ideas, and you should write these ideas on separate sheets of paper, which are on your table. So each idea on one, and we would ask you to write with big letters, as big as possible, that everybody could see it later. And afterwards we'll be presenting, and then we'll discuss. We have approximately half an hour for group discussion. So, but the first step, don't forget to introduce each other.
Because I'm trying to put what you're saying. So would you agree then to say that one of the key ideas could be trying to foster a mutual learning community for everyone? And here I'm saying everyone, it's not just the students, it's also the teachers, it's also the non-teaching staff. We forget about them very often, but they are very important, okay, for everyone. And it's horizontally and vertically. Horizontally and vertically. Yeah. Horizontally and vertically, and even diagonally if you want. You know. And then
I think this has to be established in the system. This, you told there is no space in your system, no time reserved for that. This is a problem.
Yes.
So teacher considered that kind of work to be an extra workload and not normal part of their professional performance.
Yes.
And this is a problem. We have in Austria as well.
It's
very important. To make conditions, I think so. Of conditions. Time, money, space.
Provide conditions for better conditions for teaching work and to find space in the structure of a school life for professional learning communities, to establish them in the system, not only in considered as an additional workload, but as a part of a normal professional performance. So I would link it to the creating conditions, to that point, creating conditions.
We have room for experimentation, and what we've been discussing are the bullet points here that I will read. Supportive for new approaches and making room for mistakes, culture of encouragement, can-do approach, supporting enthusiasm, and providing support instead of blaming and shaming when people come up with an initiative that is questionable or too risky for the others. So it goes with experimentation.
Our group, we called ourselves the Violet Group. We gave ourselves a name. We're connected to the experimentation side as well, but not only. We've expanded a little bit on that. We're reflecting also on, the issue that was raised this morning about, leaders having to dedicate too much time to management. We want to make sure, we'd like to say that that school leaders need to be able to have the energy and time to concentrate on understanding the learning environments and approaches in the school, and then facilitating the exploration and take-up of relevant new approaches. We'd like to insist on the term relevant, because very often otherwise there might be just a tendency to just borrow things elsewhere and not have things which are very sensitive to the actual context of the individual classrooms, the individual school, the individual students, and so forth. Okay, the school is a place to exercise voice by all, and shared leadership, which means, of course, involves fostering a favorable environment of mutual trust, a sense of purpose, capacity, and self-efficacy. Self-efficacy. Yes, did not understand my writing. Okay, sorry.
So, and here, what would be the keywords? Would it be a shared leadership? Or
yes, voice and shared leadership.
Voice and shared leadership. So now we are building a cluster around
Voice and shared leadership.
Okay, sorry, no, it's my writing.
My reading.
One idea is about collaborative leadership, and we put 2 points: focus on the process, not the person, and shared responsibility. And we think that it really relates to shared leadership.
For leaders and support leaders, which means that we would like to encourage autonomy and team leadership, and also support for leaders in terms of professional support from peers and networks, and actually probably internal support, not only external support from authorities, but also within the profession. So it's shared leadership, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yes. We call it like autonomization of autonomy for student, for teacher, and for leader. For student, autonomy, more autonomy, less control, and more trust, to discover new definitions, not learn definition, but to discover definition of things, and more autonomy for teacher to be leader in the classroom, more autonomy for leader to be a leader of school, and so as I told, more trust and more support from government to be there, and to have balance with external.
Our group has written like that. Make sure the drive for learning outcomes is supported by as broad, rich curriculum as possible, as broad and as rich curriculum as possible. And making use of space allowed by school autonomy in the education system. No narrow conception of learning outcomes. Main point.
I think we have now a chance to mix something, because what we've heard so far is that everything is somehow interrelated. So our approach is related to the learning environment, how to create learning environment for teachers and the school leaders at the same time. And we call the first point is teachers as students. The second, we also heard about making mistakes and risk. When do we make mistakes? Is when we have something to measure against that mistake. That means we have a procedure that we don't follow and we make mistake, right? So the second thing is that we want that mid-bodies allow the learning to happen, because we learn only when we make mistakes. The third one is actually we bring our children to school and expect someone to do with them something. Therefore, we have a really small integration of community into the school. And we want to build the learning process with the community itself. And at the same time, and in the end, we want not to risk, but really to admire the results.
Thank you. So this group was really very generous, shared all their ideas immediately. So, but I think the main idea is about learning. So it's about learning of students and teachers and
Learning community.
and learning community. Yes. So, and I saw that many groups were thinking about learning community.
We also write very similar ideas about learning community. It is try to foster a learning community for everyone, horizontally and vertically, and we wrote another one aspect, it is like through the use of different relevant social technologies. It is more different aspect, but
so all the ideas related to learning community, we are sorry that we have to separate them, but they are on that side.
So the idea that minimum, where that is connected actually with what the other groups are about teachers leading students, is that we should emphasize lifelong learning and emphasize that everyone, students, teachers, and professors, everyone, every member of the community should remember that he has to constantly improve all the time, not to sit in one place, just to keep up with the quick pace of changes in the society. So we believe that it's very, very important.
I'll share ours because it's slightly different from what's happened, but at the top of our sheet there, we felt that the leaders, or leadership for learning, that new type of leadership, was building learning communities that were beyond the school and beyond the school walls. We have a concept of schooling that is very narrow. And I think if we are going to move into the future, we need to think about new technologies and how they can be used to extend our school out into the community by making them more inclusive, by creating a school beyond walls and reconceptualizing what schooling really is. So it's just to add to that debate.
And we have 2 sheets of paper to get rid of, and I hope that we can have this one, lifelong learning for self-development, going together with community learning. I'm not sure, because we were speaking about building infrastructure for formal learning, but also using different techniques for self-development, like mentoring, coaching, peer support, critical friends, and we saw that professionals themselves have to demonstrate chess players' judgment and wisdom to see what helps them improve and learn better. And the other one, I really need your support, because we started speaking about embracing diversity. Like we have very established practice using stereotypical thinking when we think about educators and professionals in teaching. So we thought that probably it would be very healthy to encourage people to see diversity and embrace diversity, and probably support and invite different kinds and types of personalities to enter communities that are educating communities.
Our group have an idea on a school leader should be looking for synergy between education and business, because she should empower our young people to find their place in labor market. And for this is very important entrepreneurship. That's all. Thank you.
Our group has discussed upon one more leadership approach, that is career guidance. And we discussed that it must be started just from the beginning, even in the kindergarten, just to develop students' mentality on this purpose. And I think that the most thing is, or the most problem we're seeing here is that lots of students, after graduating from school, they enter universities or colleges, but not vocational education institutions. So I think that that approach is really very important in order to empower to become the person, the owner of his life.
Actually, we do have an idea which ended with a question mark. And the question is for all of you. Do we have any interest to maybe set up a bunch of common criteria for all the member states? Do we have interest to set up indicators on how to avoid wrong school heads to come to the wrong school? It is a question mark, so if you have any ideas, if you think that it could help the common goal, thank you.
Thank you. So it's like an invitation, yes, for those who would like to join.
It was the last idea. We didn't have enough time to discuss it.
So, okay, so it's the last chance to present your idea. Yes.
Okay, our final idea on our table was that we wanted a new leadership approach that embraced openness. And that's on the top left-hand side of our sheet there. And that openness was quite broad in how we began to explore it. We would have loved to have had more time, Eglė, to do that. But it was around an openness for learning, for, got to come closer, for transformation, for cooperation, for all kinds of achievement, and for a global approach to leadership and learning in the schools. So, as I said, we would have liked to have had more time, but it was kicked off by our colleague on the table talking about sometimes schools are very closed places and we need to make them far more open, and our leaders have to help us to do that.
So, thank you. So, and it is related to this openness of the school. Okay, so is there anybody who would like to present one more idea? Because time is running out. Okay, so now now we created, there is our joint creation, what we did during the session. So, and there are many different aspects of leadership for learning. So, and now we should forget that we are the owners of these ideas, so it's our common authorship. So everybody is the creator of these ideas. So, and you see that you are getting, Živilė is giving all of you 3 little posters. So now you can walk here and look at all that creation as in the gallery, and you can choose 3 ideas which you like the most.
Even we will use some IT technology to vote once again, using the full list of our ideas. So now we will take just 3 of them to the common list of ideas, just to know results what we are going to do next. In the next sessions, you will have other topics for discussions, but you will do similar like this, but at another topic. So thank you very much.